Hi everyone, it's Tina Bells. I have one of the two current events articles for this week. Actually, I have two articles that I wanted to share. Both are on the company Theranos and its CEO Elizabeth Holmes. And if you've heard about this story recently in the news or over the past year even, Elizabeth Holmes was a Stanford University dropout in her second year of undergrad studies. She was convinced that she could create this breakthrough machine that would take a single prick of blood from your fingertip and it would be able to replace the entire blood workup that you would have done for a person that you would typically have the vein extraction from the vein and many vials of blood tested. This was something that was kept as super secret as possible. There was no discussion of anybody putting in, doing an invention disclosure or preparing for, their full patents. There was no information. They kept it very much locked down. They didn't let people into the facility. They used this high level of secrecy around this great innovation and was able to attract a lot of high profile investors. They were able to name a board of an all-star cast of very credible and reputable people that were stewards of industry, heads of state, and military folks who had just exemplary records. And with all this, the investment dollars came, contracts came for early services from places like Walgreens, the Cleveland Clinic, Pfizer. Elizabeth was considered the first billion-dollar startup in Silicon Valley, the first woman to do this and achieve this. She was featured on Forbes magazine, Fortune magazine, as one of the most influential people in the world. And sadly, it all came to a crashing end in the past year with the investigation into the company and the realization that this technology they had been promoting really didn't exist and did not work. So the second article is the one I want to focus on because that's the discussion around sort of lessons learned. And if you're going to invest in a new product, if you want to be that investor, some of the things you should be looking for. And I thought this part was really interesting because we're at a point where we're finalizing maybe our specifications on our products. We may have changed our products. We may have had to add things or redo things in terms of the concept. And now we're in a stage where maybe we're getting ready to actually get this thing to manufacturing, and we need to build a real version of it so that we can start testing it. And maybe that might require more dollars. So we might be in a position where we need to go back to investors or for the first time or even a second time, or add new investors to the process to get some more monies to further the design along and the innovation along. And I thought, wow, if this is what's being put out there, maybe this could help or hurt the investment community for innovators like us. So I wanted to share what those warning signs were that they put out in the second article. It said that, you should not look for investing in a company or an innovation that is led by someone who does not have the skill sets or experience in the area that they are claiming to have this innovation. So in other words, since Elizabeth Holmes had no background in the medical industry, she never did any testing or research, she had no educational experience in it, that would be a red flag and you should not even consider supporting the product. I thought about that in my view as a civil engineer. If I happen to want to promote something or come up with an idea that maybe was medically based, because I watched a friend go through a procedure or something that caused a lot of pain and I saw a need, and that maybe that statement alone could keep investors from supporting the continued investigation and advancement of the idea. Another one was don't support a company whose board is made up of people outside of the area of expertise. And I thought about, boards that are made up for a variety of reasons. Maybe they're investing in the product development already. Maybe they bring expertise in business, financing, operations, or marketing, for example. Not all boards are created to just have a sole view on just a particular industry, and bringing together diverse views, as we've been talking about, can be something that really helps create a great innovation or a great invention at the end of the day. Another area it talked about in lessons learned was the high level of secrecy around the idea, and that there was not offered for peer review at all. But in the medical field, you can almost understand why you would want to keep something pretty quiet and not have it out there for others to look at, for fear it would be stolen and not available. And another area was that there were no independent, there was not enough data for anybody to have an independent, claims reviewed and tested, and there was no third-party testers of the equipment or the technology to just validate that it did what they were saying it was doing. Again, do you find this to be unusual or not? I guess I wouldn't necessarily think that in an industry like medical, especially, where just a slight little tip of the hand, you could lose your edge with your invention. So this got me to wanting to share just a couple questions with all of you. What are your thoughts on the lessons learned provided in the article? I'd like to hear what you generally think of them after you read through it. Do you feel that that these lessons could hurt or help innovation, and why? And then what do you think is the most important thing that an investor should look at when deciding whether or not they should support a startup like maybe yours? I know there's a laser pizza cutter being talked about out there that I'm really interested in. What would be the single thing you would want investors to look at to know that your product is above board and real and can maybe do the things you're saying it can? So I really look forward to hearing from you this week and having some dialogue around the topic. Thanks so much.